Okay, welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Clover. This is episode 3 with Braden Constant. Good morning, Braden. How are you?
Hey guys, I'm doing pretty good. Just hanging in there with all this COVID-19 stuff going on, but yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
How are you liking homeschooling?
I mean, homeschooling's all right, I mean, it's not my favorite per se. It's kind of harder because, the teacher's not here. If I want to ask her or him just directly, I can't really do that. But it just shows me another challenge and another step in life where, I mean, I'm just going to have to overcome it and I'm just going to have to work through it like all things.
Yeah. Now, for those of the you who for those of you who are listening who doesn't know Braden Constant, his mom is Gina Eskew, and she's a YPA in Missouri 4-H. So, with her as the homeschool teacher, have you asked to transfer out of her classes? Yes, classes yet?
um, no, I have not. I don't know how she would. I don't know how she would cope with that, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I'd just be like, all right, mom, I'm gonna need to transfer out. So I don't know how this is gonna work. Might be a little awkward, but
Yeah.
all right. So I'll get back on topic. So we'll talk about 4-H now, since it's a 4-H podcast. So what got you into 4-H?
Honestly, I remember it fairly vividly. I was sitting out on the porch swing, and we were just kind of enjoying the evening, watching the sunset. I know it's really romantic and everything, but anyway, my mom was just sitting there, and she's like, you know, I was in 4-H when I was a little kid, and I had so much fun. So maybe you should do it. And I'm like, okay, well, what does it have to offer me, And she just listed off several things and like we could get goats and stuff. I'm like, oh, that'd be great because I had seen like little videos of goats and I thought they were so cute. So we just kind of started doing that. And she's like, oh, you can teach Joe, our dog. She's like, you can teach him, how to have good manners. And at that time, he was a puppy and he was wild and crazy. But yeah, she really just helped me get into 4-H, and she showed me like several activities that I could get into and where I could grow. And I thank her for a lot of that.
That's awesome. I didn't realize that she was in 4-H herself. I don't think if she has told me that, I might not have caught that. But that's interesting. That's good to know.
Down here a while ago, I want to say it was about 5 years ago, this girl by the name of Marissa Serber, she kind of united 4-H and FFA down here by doing a food drive. It was called Meals of Hope. And oh my goodness, just about everybody from Livingston County who is either in 4-H or FFA came out and we all helped out. We created so many meals and it was honestly a really cool deal. But that's truly, besides the fair, that's the only time that I can think about where 4-H and FFA have really collaborated together. It's not really something that we do a lot. And, now that we're talking about this, maybe we can do something to collab maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, I hope some people listening and get the idea, and we can work together. There shouldn't really be any reason we don't. Uh, so you're a regional rep, right? Is that correct?
Yes, it's
Uh,
correct.
so walk me through that process. Why and how did you apply for regional rep?
Okay, so it first started out with Congress. When I first went to Congress, I was like, okay, it's just another, team conference. I didn't really think too much about it. But then I saw how different it was, and honestly, how it's a lot more fun it was, and a longer time span. And I saw like a bunch of leaders and a bunch of people who I looked up to, And I said to myself, I just want to do the same for other people. And so my mom really helped me out with the process and stuff. And so that first year when I tried, I never passed through the interview. So what it used to be was you interviewed, then you went to Congress, and whoever the delegates were that went to Congress, which is basically anybody who signed up and paid the dues, they would vote for you from there. And then once they voted on you, then you were, if you got that, then you were a regional rep. Um, and then the next year that I tried out, it was still that way. And I went past the interview and people voted for me and I got regional rep that way. But now the way it is at the Energizer, which is where we would interview, we still interview there, but we have more interviewers. So we have, I want to say it's 2 adults, 1 alum, and 2 youth that interview you. So I think it's 2 staff people, but it's kind of different. You interview from a bunch of different points of view, and once you pass through that, then you're just a regional rep. You don't have to go to Congress for people to vote on you. People just that once you pass that interviewing process, then you got the job.
Oh wow, that's a that's a difference in how they're doing that. I try to keep up on all of that stuff and to walk the kids through the process. It's much easier when it comes from you guys who've experienced it and know what it's like, and that way you can explain it and you get a better understanding and feeling when it comes. Because when I talk to them, it's as a staff person, it's kind of like, well, here's what it is and what you're going to go through. But when you explain it, you kind of give it a different feeling to it.
Yeah. So when I was a regional rep this last year, well, I technically this year, going into next, but laws and the Constitution of 4-H with Lupita coming in. And so we looked this over and we truly debated hard about it. We were trying to decide, like, is it truly the youth's way of deciding who they want to lead them? Yeah, I mean, although it's, hard for some people, because maybe they're not like the best at interviewing or something like that. Um, it like I want them to know that we really, really thought about this and we really worked hard to work out all the kinks and stuff.
Yeah, whenever there's change like this made from how things go, there's going to be some pushbacks in a little bit. I'm not saying a lot like you guys are starting a revolution or anything like that, but there's it, it it takes a little bit for people to adjust to how the changes are going. And then once they go through it, they see how things are happening and the reasons why. And I think that's one of the things that we've got to, and in me as staff is included, is make sure we explain ourselves and explain ourselves clearly on why we're doing this and the reasoning behind it. That way it's better understanding for when changes like that are made for whatever reasons.
Yeah, of course. Anytime there's change, of course, people don't really like it. They're comfortable where they're at. But you just got to get over that hill. You got to see over that hump and see the full picture, get to the top of the mountain and see the valley, honestly. It again, like all of us, we're like, oh, this is change. This is weird. How is this going to work out? How are we going to, how are the people going to react to it? And honestly, you just gotta see the full picture. And Lupita really helped us out with that. She told us what her vision was, and it really helped out.
And see, that's where communication is huge, and that's one thing we learn in 4-H and we preach in 4-H is some of these skills and stuff like that, and communication is one of them. And so you went through the process. Do you like this process, how they have it set up?
Every process has its pros and cons. So kind of the main reason for doing this is because we want Congress to be more of a fun-filled event than, the people who are going there simply just because they want to become a regional rep and them being kind of nervous the whole time for the delegates to vote for them. But I, I don't know. It was kind of really quick, the process, because it was only the regional energizer and I didn't have to wait it out. Um, I see the pros in it, but I also see the cons in it also. I also see the same thing for the other way where the delegates would vote on you. So honestly, I think we just got to wait it out and see what happens at Congress truly to see what it brings, because I just don't know for sure, which one is better. Maybe we do it for a couple more years and see how that goes. If it isn't going well, then I think that we should change it back. But as far as I know, I think it's going fine right now. But maybe for the younger people trying to become regional reps, and maybe a little bit harder, so with this way, so I think we should just try it out, see how it works. If it doesn't work, then of course we'll change it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we're in the middle of the process, but know you went through the interview stages, and that's why I asked. But one of the big things is, making Congress more fun. And Congress is fun, don't get me wrong, but having that where kids aren't walking around where they have to feel on all the time when they're applying for something. And they're 4-H kids and they're good no matter what. It's not like, they're, a bunch of hoodlums running around. But just that the nervous energy that stuff like that will bring, and then you get in there and you get around people, and you're not maybe always yourself the whole time because you're worried about everything and overthinking things, and making things fun so you can just be yourselves and enjoy it. And that makes time, when you're learning stuff and going through, it makes it so much easier because a lot of times, like, I experienced like a teen conference from a standpoint as a staff person, but the stuff that I learned and picked up that you guys had taught was pretty outstanding. And it was really just through the fun ways of doing it where you didn't realize you were learning, but you actually had a big takeaway from it.
Yeah, but the last year, the way we changed it, we changed the voting process to the very first day that you get there. So one thing that I thought I had to do was I immediately have to meet people. Once I get there, I have to make connections with other people, because I mean, even if you do have a great speech, that's a big part of it because you give a speech before they vote on you.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you do give a big speech, and they don't really know you, like, are they really going to vote for you? Probably not. They're probably just going to vote for their friends. So that's one thing that I really had to do with that, with our first way of doing it. But I really liked how we just did it right off the bat,
Mm-hmm.
because I just had one goal in mind that first day, and then the rest I could just hang out, and I guess for the people who didn't get regional reps, sadly, I could see how that would kind of suck. You have to stay in that environment the whole time. You see people moving on, maybe some of your friends moving on. But honestly, that was me the very first year that I tried. I tried out for regional rep. I didn't even get past the interview process. Seth, my best friend, he moved past it. He even got the regional rep spot, and like that, honestly, that really sucked. I'm not going to lie to you, but it really motivated me. And that's the thing about it is you can either choose to just lay down and give up, or you can choose to, really try and get back up and dust the dust off, I guess. But honestly, yeah, that it just depends. There's so many different ways to look at it. Yeah, it just depends on the person.
And that's resiliency and I spoke with Kyle Hansen about this. Is he's talking about the camp counselor not making it his first time out and coming back, and that's where you find out. And I think in 4-H we want all the kids to be successful. Don't get me wrong, but there is times where things don't go as well as you would like, and you find out just truly how passionate you are about what you're trying to accomplish. And sometimes you're not that passionate, and you decide to move on in a different direction, which is completely fine. But I think it also, the times that I failed, and I remember in elementary, I didn't do well and they gave me a participation trophy. It was one of the few times I ever got one. And I was like, no, thank you. But then the trophy, like a first place trophy, I didn't have any desire to go get. So I was like, nah, I'm good. And there was a lot of other things that I failed at numerous times where I would go out and, step up my game so I could be better at it because I was truly passionate about it. And I think that's one thing that 4-H, this gives you a safe environment. You're not high pressure, high stakes. Really, I mean, there is some stuff, for kids, it gets a little high pressure when you're trying to advance, state council and stuff like that. But not to the extent that you're going to face later on in life where kids get to go out and try this stuff. And sometimes, they don't succeed. And there's a Matthew Carlton and the Carlton boys in Clinton County have this shirt with the saying, it says, I either win or I learn. And I think there's some interesting lessons behind that where, you're learning from those times that you're not as successful as you thought you'd be.
Yeah, I think 4-H is a great environment to fail. I know it sounds bad, but it's a great environment to fail because there are so many adult staff and so many just youth in 4-H that will be there to pick you up and help you really grow. Once I failed that first interview, I was purely focused. The first time I was like, I wasn't too focused on it. And it really taught me, hey, this is the real deal. You got to get focused. You got to get prepped for everything. And so that's what really drove me. And that entire year leading up to the next interview, that I really and truly was prepped and focused. And I was waiting for that moment for a long time. And once I got that, it just a feeling of, stress, just like a weight lifted off of me. It was a great feeling.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I would be just like, and of course, when you find out about it in different places, you're just like, oh, when you want to celebrate, then you go home and you're just like bouncing off the wall, so excited because it's sometimes it's tough to celebrate in front of people who don't make it.
Yeah, that's very true. But when I celebrated, I also said to myself, I'm not over. This ain't over. I still have to go and interview at Congress, and so I kept that same drive going into it, and here I am now.
Yeah, and that drive's important. But hey, make sure you do celebrate. That's one thing I have learned is I didn't celebrate a lot of my successes. I was like, yeah, that was expected of me and it was what I expected of myself. So on to the next thing, and I didn't enjoy the moment when the moment was happening. So just to keep that in the back of your head. You seem to be doing well.
Very true. Very true.
So trying to turn the subject here. So, I was talking to Kyle Hansen and Jim Sappington. We were talking about projects that they did in 4-H. Kyle said his, and the question is, what is the project that you did in 4-H that may not be your favorite, that you only did for a couple years, or maybe it was just 1 year, that most people wouldn't expect that you tried or know that you tried. Kyle's was showing rabbits, and Jim was, the ability to sew and gardening and photography and stuff like that. So what is yours project in 4-H that you did maybe for a couple years that most people wouldn't have expected you to try?
It was actually photography, believe it or not. I was like, oh, this is going to be so cool. I'm going to have a camera, I can make really cool pictures, and I stunk. I was not that great at it. and I really did not like I really did not get that great at pictures or anything like that, and I just really wasn't driven to do it. So I only did it for a year, maybe two. I'm pretty sure it was just a year though, and I didn't I didn't get any great accolades or anything like that. But yeah, photography was one that I did.
Same. I did photography. I was terrible at it. Got a good camera at the time, which is not it's that you'll see it in a museum someday, and you can tell your kids, "Hey, my one of the YPAs used that type of camera." But that was a learning experience for me for sure. So, what are your favorite projects that you do in 4-H?
Um, the project that I've done for the longest time is archery. Now, I'm going to be honest, I'm not that great at it, but I sure have a lot of fun time doing it, and especially with the people who do it that are around me. But that's really about like what it kind of is in life, you know. You can either like have fun or you can just like, I'm not that good at it and just kind of give up. Kind of like what I did with photography, but I wasn't really having fun. And with archery, like I just have a lot of fun with it. I have a lot of friends that do it too. So yeah, I mean, we just hang out, we shoot some arrows, and we just have fun with it. Another one is dogs. I actually love doing dogs and dog training. That's a really big passion of mine, actually. They're just so interesting animals, and they're really smart too for being, just an animal. But they really aren't just an animal. They're therapeutic to some people, and they just have these amazing abilities, these amazing noses to sniff out, a bunch assortment of other things. So yeah, I do archery and I do dogs, but yeah, they're really really fun. I love them.
That's an interesting project. We used to have a dog show. I mean, we still offer it in Clinton County. We haven't. It's been a few years since we've had anyone come through and really and show. But yeah, that's one that we have people talk about, and we send a lot of people, I think, over your guys' way in the Livingston County kind of area when they have some trainings and leaders like that for some that are here. And I know St. Joe has a fairly big one, so yeah, that's a pretty interesting project. The archery, this,
Hmm.
I want to get into archery.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I want to get into
No, you're
archery.
good. You're good.
And that's one thing that a skill I just haven't done it. I don't have the time, but to do something that you may not be great at just because you enjoy it and stick with it, that's what I think 4-H is all about, is finding those passions. And sometimes you're going to be great at them, and sometimes you're not, and you'll stick with those. If you're still passionate about it and not be great at it, and that's fun. So, are those two your main projects that you stick with? Do you have others?
Yeah, those I've really just kind of narrowed it down to those two and really just kind of honed my skills on them. Again, I'm not that great at archery, but I've really just, done those two things. I've tried an assortment of other things like woodworking, welding, and goats. I've done those two. Goats, I didn't really just have a passion for anymore, so kind of had to let them go. Woodworking, I wasn't really focused on that either. Neither was I with welding. So, I mean, it was fun to do, but to really do have a project and focus on it and work really hard on it, I just didn't do that. So, um, I just kind of narrowed it down to those two.
Yeah, that's understandable. Did you ever participate in the public speaking contest or anything like that?
No, actually, I have not. Um, I, I've always thought it would be interesting to do, but I have not. I don't know. It's really hard to be honest. Um, I don't know. It's something that I've kind of wanted always to do, but I've never done. Just like something in the back of my head. I know Seth has done that, and he's done a very good job with it. And I've heard stories about it, and I've always kind of thought about doing it. But no, I have not done any speaking. No.
That was one that I wish I would have did in 4-H, because I was never really good at public speaking. I still struggle now. I'm a lot better than I was. Most of the time I black out, forget what I'm saying. And then especially if someone records me, they go back and I'm like, I don't remember saying that at all. Sometimes there's rambling in there that you can tell I've lost, my train of thought. And so it gets tough. Sometimes Debbie will throw me a curveball. We'll be doing something and she's like, Steven, go ahead and give your thoughts. And I'm just like, and of course you're on the spot, so you've got to come up with something. And then that's really when I
Except
just
Uranus right there.
exactly. And I black out and I say something, and then sometimes it she freaks out, and I'm like, I'm just kidding, because I'm trying to work a joke in there to one to one allow me time to think and gather more thoughts, more just give a break to the audience, and yeah, so I understand that's one that I struggled with, and I didn't know if because you do well with it, and you went through interviews, and your interview skills are clearly
Thank you.
you're clearly good with that. So yeah, that's one of those. I figured you did, so that kind of surprised me when you said you didn't do the public speaking contest in 4-H.
No, yeah. Um, I just really worked hard on it. I mean, I'm going to be taking a speech class in high school this upcoming year. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I really haven't done it. I thought it would be fun, but I guess I can do it now. But uh, I don't know. I just haven't done it.
Okay, so we were talking about FFA and 4-H earlier, and a lot of the times we lose kids when they get into that FFA years. Some of those ag kids are just kids in 4-H that age out, and they say, "Hey, I can do FFA at school, and I'm done." In the high school age, or we have kids who are done with 4-H. In those years, teenage years in high school. What is it about 4-H that has kept you in it as long as you've been in?
Is the staff and the atmosphere around it?
Yeah, people and a lot of things will make it easier and worthwhile to stick with something. So you've been to Congress, you've been to teen conference. What other state events? Because we talk a lot, and that's one thing in my 3 counties is I challenge them to go beyond our county level of what we do. So what other state events or even national events have you been to that you really liked, or been to in general, and then the ones you really liked?
I have not been to a national event yet. I hope to go on the National Congress trip in Atlanta, I think is where it's at. Um, but I have been to, of course, Congress and Teen Conference, but I've also been to YCLS. YCLS is in Windermere, and we didn't have a team this year, so I couldn't go. But it was a really really cool experience. It's a beautiful beautiful place. It's over by the Lake of the Ozarks, and what it really focuses on is you being a leader, but you also serving others. There's a bunch of different workshops that you can do, and this YCLS is where the true leaders are, I believe. This is where they the ones that you remember go to, because they are not only focused on themselves being great leaders, but they're also focused on helping others become great leaders also. So I would, encourage anybody who wants to be a great leader or just have a great heart in general to if you can have a lot of fun also. I mean, it's right by the lake and you get to have a great time with others. It's and then I think it goes till Sunday, and on Sunday they have this church service. It's a great church. It's up on a big old hill. Me and Seth have a great memory of that hill because we'd always run on it. But yeah, it's a great event to go to really improve yourself and help you improve others also.
Yeah, from the sounds of it, and I haven't I have not been able to make it to that. It sounds like a really good event. We have so many cool stuff that we have going on in the state, plus the 3 counties. So it gets a little challenging for me to get out and explore. I think over the coming years, that's something that I'm going to try and accomplish is explore a lot of that stuff. Because this is stuff, and this is why I want to talk to 4-H kids around the state. Is we have kids that have these opportunities before them, and I want to make sure that they listen to other kids and other people on why they should take up on it and go see stuff. Because when I was in 4-H, I did shooting sports. I did photography for a little bit, and then I did campground cookery or cooking. I think it was cooking. I don't remember the name of it. I struggle. It's gone now. That's how old I am. But I didn't participate in this stuff like contest day or achievement day at county fairs. I didn't do that. I stuck to shooting sports, and that was that. And so I think there's a lot of benefits in this stuff that we offer these kids, and I hope more kids will take up the opportunity to go try that.
4-H just has so many assortment of things to offer, and that's what I truly love about it. Also, there's an equine tour, there's a float trip, there's so many other things that you can do, and that's what really separates 4-H from the rest. Is yeah, it's agricultural based, but there's so many more things that 4-H has to offer if you aren't just interested in agriculture.
Yeah, and that's a lot of things when I do at the Cameron radio station there, KMRN, and we do a monthly session on there. And the point we always try to drive home is it's more than cows and plows, because that's the reputation that 4-H has, where they think, I mean, we have robotics, there's life skills, there's so many different opportunities for kids to take an experience in 4-H.
Yeah, my mom, she does the robotics lab, and I think she does really well with it. It's a really cool thing also. So what it is it's a Lego like robotics. You can build it, and you give it commands on a computer, and it sends those commands to the Lego creation that you made with a computer in it, and it will do the job that you want it. I mean, if you put in the right code and stuff. But it's fairly easy to learn. It's really fun, and it's really cool.
Yeah, we had a group there in Clinton County that did it for a while. We're trying to get it reestablished again and moving on in that direction, because we had a good turnout and the kids had a lot of fun. My next thing I wanted to ask you about 4-H camp. What's your thoughts on 4-H camp, and how many years did you participate in it?
As a camper, I participated in 4-H camp for 3 years. I was there for 1 year, and then I missed a year, and then the next 2 years I was there. And then I've been a counselor for 3 years, going on 4 years now. So being a camper, it's really, really fun. You get to do all these activities. I mean, it's camp, you get to meet new people and do a whole bunch of other things. But being a counselor, like if you're old enough to be a counselor, you should definitely try out for it. It's an amazing thing. I feel like it's more fun being a counselor than it is being a camper. I mean, that's just my opinion. It's a great opportunity to really focus on your leadership skills, because it's really hard to do that when there's like people of your same age or maybe people older than you that you're leading and stuff. But most of these, like all these kids are younger than you, and they really look up to you. So that creates an easier atmosphere to do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. In the selection process, like the numbers, the turnout for on the female side this year, there was 33, and it was there 13 guys. So that it's a tough selection. Sometimes we need to get our guy numbers up there, which is surprising because they always have a blast at 4-H camp. So.
Yeah, I was happy to see that, because usually we have to pull in guys to do counselor applications, but this time we had more than enough guys to pick from, and I was really glad to see that a lot of the campers who aged out last year came back and tried to be counselors. I was really proud of that. I tried to pull some in this year to be counselors. I was like, you'd be a great counselor, and I saw some of them come out, and some of them got the position, and I was really happy for them.
Yeah, it's always fun seeing this stuff, and sometimes in we have kids. I think between Clinton, Caldwell, and DeKalb counties, we had 17 4-Hers apply for camp counselors. So, and there's only a limited number of spots, and especially on the girls' side, there's 33. So you can be in the large majority of those who don't make it. And I hope they take what you were saying earlier about a regional rep where you stuck with it. So if they didn't make it their first year, and they're passionate about it and they want to come back and try again, because sometimes you don't make it your first year, but it better prepares you.
I've met a lot of people who just specifically off of the basis of not getting the counselor position, they're like, oh, you know what? They didn't want me this year. They won't want me next year. That is not the case. You have to, it's just saying to you, we think that you have the skills. You just need to, perfect them just a little bit more. You need to be more accommodating, maybe. There's an assortment of other things. Or, like you are the right person. There's just a bunch of other people who are, I don't know, like more qualified, like any other given day, if there wasn't enough people, of course, yeah, we'd definitely pick you. But there's just people above you. So it really teaches you to, if you really want that position, you got to work for it. And you really got to strive to do it. Don't work yourself to death over it, though. Don't just have a good mindset about it. Don't be toxic or anything. Just don't be salty about it. I've actually known some people that have just, done 4-H just because of 4-H camp. And since they didn't get the counselor position, they just quit 4-H. Don't do that. There's so many more opportunities. There's so many more things that you can do that will help you out. But yeah, that's just my thought on it, though.
Absolutely. And that's one of those things where, when kids don't make it, I understand they're discouraged, but it's not like there's a giant gap between the top and the bottom. We're talking the people who make the cut and don't make the cut is razor thin, where a lot of times it's that thin that we go through and we reevaluate them a second time because of how good they are. And then we get really nitpicky with that because we want to make sure, okay, they're all, sometimes they're all qualified and they are really close in there, but now we've got to go and let's look at them again. Let's start getting nitpicky because that's how close these kids are, and they are really good. And that's why we hope that they come back next year, even if they don't make it.
Yeah, of course. This year I saw a lot of qualified people, and I was kind of scared too. I was like, dang, there's going to be some competition this year, And so I was like, honestly, for the staff people picking these people out, I feel bad for you because there's a bunch of qualified people. I was sad to see some of them not be able to make it. Some friends that I knew, but there's definitely a bunch of competition this year.
Yeah, it's tough, and sometimes your own kids don't make it, and I say my kids, the kids in the counties that we serve, they don't make it. But we've got to take into account that we serve a region that comes to 4-H camp, and we've got the kids to look out for, and there's other people that may have done better, and sometimes you're gonna have bad days, and that's what you're going to have interviews, whether it be for, for jobs and stuff where you probably were the most qualified and just didn't show it on that day through the interviews. And I've had that. I've had people say, hey, on paper, you were good, but when it came time to interview, you just didn't bring it. And, that's something that it happens. And you hope you learn from it and you grow from it.
Yeah, that's something that really happened to me when I was doing that first interview process for my first time trying out for regional rep. I just had a bad day. Honestly, it was not a good deal at all. It was just not my day. I wasn't feeling it. I didn't have any confidence in myself at all. And that's what really hurt me, honestly. if you're interviewing at all, like, don't be cocky, but like just be, confident about yourself. Have this, like aura about yourself that, I believe I can do it and I will do it.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's one thing. And I've had days where it's going competition, and I know it's not my day, and I, I I will go out and compete because I'm competitive, but I know I'm just like I can see like that it's going to go off the rails. Like there's no way around it. And honestly, probably I'd be better off if I do just turn around and go back to bed and be like, "Nah, I'll try you next time." But that is one thing that I learned in college when it came to taking tests. I aced a test that I probably should have failed only solely because I believed in myself. I didn't study for it at all. I actually forgot the test, and they're like, "Hey, we got a test today," and I was like, "Nah, I'm gonna ace it. I'm gonna ace it." So, and I walked in there and aced it purely based on the fact that I had confidence in myself.
Yeah. A lot of the questions that I miss on tests this year is just me second guessing myself when I just don't have confidence in my answer. And that's something that you got to do. Like whether it's test taking, interviewing, whatever it is, you just have to have confidence in yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're going through this strange times right now in 4-H where our face-to-face meetings aren't happening. So, what are some of the things that the regional reps have been working on or looking at to help with this time? Because when we see and do stuff, we're trying to make this as normal as can be. I've been sitting on this idea for this podcast for 3 years. I thought it was a good idea. I haven't had the time. Now's a good time. And we're trying to get normal, trying to get kids. We're trying to connect them, give them some different options. So, what are you guys looking at? Because your faces and what you guys do are important to these kids.
Yeah, of course. So, one thing that we're doing is we're just participating with the 4-H weekly things that we got going on. I don't know if you saw those come out, but some of them are like America Day. You got to wear red, white, and blue. Tie dye day. Favorite 4-H shirt day. An assortment of other things, and we're going to be getting out on social media and doing that. Another thing that we're going to do is, I don't know if you've seen this, but we're going to create a poll on 4-H online, and we're going to be asking some questions about an event that we're going to possibly be doing. If you kind of heard of it, it's kind of like the Southwest Rat Trip, and it's not with real rats. It's just going around our region, traveling around, and seeing what our region has to offer. And also doing an assortment of other things. Like this year, we were thinking about going over to Shadow Dairy, checking that out. Of course, with this virus, though, it's really hard to do it this year because we were thinking about doing it in the summer, maybe even like springtime, like late spring. But we all of us regional representatives, we've been working really hard on this event. We want to make it the best it can possibly be, have a good foundation to start off of, and to just build from there.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of that event, so I think that's pretty cool. I like the idea of it, and that's one thing that I've thought about and talked about was even like chateau or even entrepreneurship trips for kids where you just load up a van full or a bus full of kids and you take them around to different businesses and you learn business aspects of it and restaurants, and people got a lot of cool companies and stuff. Missouri Star Quilt in Hamilton, small town, small community, and has really
Mm-hmm.
built a giant business and growing in a community all at the same time.
Yeah, it has. Another thing we were looking at maybe in the coming years, going to a Royals game, maybe seeing Kansas City Chiefs if we make it later in the year, just doing like fun things, like it can be educational. But like in the end, we want it to be really fun for the kids, and we want them to have a memorable time. And if we, get enough money, maybe we could go out of state, maybe go into the Kansas area, to maybe Iowa or something like that, and really kind of open their eyes, because some of the kids haven't even been out of state, and just really show them what the United States has to offer.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of cool places and experience, and that's one thing doing a state exchange is something that we've, talked about doing and some of our counties haven't been able to get that done, but to go experience 4-H in a different state, I think would be a really cool opportunity. So you guys getting to go and travel, it may not be a state exchange like that, but get to go see different things and why and how people do it. I think that would be an awesome experience.
Yeah, we're trying to make this as the best it can possibly be. That way we can have a good foundation to start off with. We're definitely, like, if it does well this year, we're definitely going to try to make it grow and become bigger. Um, Maybe like something that I was thinking about maybe later years when I'm past 4-H, past the collegiate 4-H and everything. Sadly, I don't want that time to come, but it will. But maybe going into Iowa, and they have this old Threshers reunion where they have a bunch of trains and steam engines and just in of other things. It's a really cool event. It's south of Des Moines, so it's not too far away. But I mean, it would be a trip. It would definitely be a trip.
Yeah, that sounds like something I would definitely be in. And that's one thing as a staff person that you guys get to go to experience all this stuff. And I'm just like, hey, I'll go. I may look old for a 4-H'er, but I'm sure I could be a 4-H'er, But they frown on that.
Yeah.
Uh, oh shoot, I had a question for you, and I completely slipped my mind what I was going to ask you. Oh, what's your college plans? Because you're coming up on that. Have you thought about college and what job or stuff you might get into? And the reason why I'm asked is I'm 30 and I'm still looking for ideas of what I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah. So some possibilities that I was thinking about was maybe going to Mizzou. Of course, I was definitely wanting to go to Mizzou. They have a lot of things to offer. That I love the campus. It's so beautiful. I love it. But another place I was thinking about going was Ohio State. I love Ohio State. My dad's from Ohio. Ohio is just a great area. I mean, heck, even girls know about football over there, so that's great. Ohio is definitely a football area, and I'm in love with football. So, and that's something that I want to do. When I grow up, I want to be a football coach. I'm going to be a student assistant when I get to Mizzou. It's something that I want to do. And then once I graduate, become a graduate assistant and kind of work myself up the ranks of coaching there. Um, uh, Football is just something that really makes sense to me. I really have a knack for it, I think. But I know for certain that if, like, for some reason that just doesn't work out or anything like that, that I can I know that I want to work with youth in some way or another. I want to work with people and I want to help them become better.
I was wondering if you were going to say working with youth because you really have a knack for it right now. And I think that's something your leadership skills is kind of geared towards. And you can do anything, put your mind to. Uh, the football thing, hey, good luck. You're going to need that resiliency that you had, coming up through 4-H and every other aspect of your life, because there's going to be some tough things. But if you're hired at Mizzou one day for football, I'll be one of your biggest supporters. I think you can do it, but get used to eating ramen noodles for them tough years.
Oh yeah, ramen noodles and canned food. I can't wait. I have to stack those things at Hy-Vee, so I can't wait to eat them now.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but yeah,
Well, I am out of questions. If you have
yeah.
anything
So
else, oh, I'm sorry.
one thing that
Oh, looks like I'm experiencing some technical difficulties again. Braden, can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
All right, go again. You cut out for a while and went dark.
Oh, well, one thing that I know about doing this is it's going to be hard, and that's kind of why I'm doing it. Is I don't want to take the easy way. The right way is not always the easy way. So I want to really challenge myself, and I want to take the right way to do things. And I know it'll be hard, but in the end, I hope it will pay off.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And Mizzou just hired a non-traditional coach. He didn't play college ball, played high school, then went back and been a high school coach for a little bit, and he took a non-traditional way to being the head coach at the University of Missouri and making $4 million a year. So,
Yeah, Coach Eli, I don't really know how to say his last name. That's kind of a mouthful, but yeah, I believe he was from no UCF, I want to say. Um, but yeah,
Arkansas,
he really built up that organization.
he went Arkansas, then uh, Arkansas to Auburn as a coach. He coached in high school and in Arkansas. Then he went to Auburn as a grad assistant, then to Arkansas State, Boise State, then NC State, and then he was at Appalachian State as the head coach there.
That's right. It was Appalachian State. But yeah, he really helped out that organization and he really built them up. And as a coach, a football coach, that's a great job. You did your job well. They were, I don't know if you've watched The Longest Yard, but with Adam Sandler, but he was like, yeah, we just play these, little teams like Appalachian State. Well, he just built that organization up. I don't know if you remember the 2007 season. Mizzou was number one for a little while and all of that. But very first week, Michigan, like a very high-ranked Michigan team, plays Appalachian State, and they just beat them on their own turf. And that's what football's all about. But yeah, he just built that organization up, and he really helped out those players there, and you could see that.
Oh, absolutely. Now, are you a bigger Mizzou fan or a bigger Ohio State fan? Because you keep talking Ohio State here.
Yeah. Yeah, I am definitely a bigger MU fan. The very first clothing that I wore as a baby was there was born to be a tiger on it. So yes, I do love Mizzou, but I do love my Buckeyes also. I literally did cry when Ohio State lost to Clemson. That was heartbreaking, and I don't care what anybody says, that was not an incomplete pass. That was a fumble.
Uh, that's great. That's great. Not you crying that stinks, but the incomplete pass. You're going to be talking about that for years. This is going to be like, did Dez catch it or not? That's the one.
Well, as my coach says, he says 5 seconds, bro, let it go, but it's really hard to let it go.
Yeah, I mean we're almost into April and you're still talking about this from earlier in the year. So.
Yeah.
Well, I'm out of questions that I can think of, and I know you guys got to watch your data and stuff when it comes to the internet at home because you're all working from home. So if there's anything else you want to say, I'll give you some time. If not, we can just end it here. And thank you for coming on and talking with me.
Yeah, no problem, Stephen. It was great talking with y'all. If you guys have any questions for me or Stephen, just go ahead and ask. I'm always here and I'm always open. I'm going to be here in my house for a long time now. So, yeah, I'm definitely open for any questions that you guys got. If you guys are youth and you're watching and you want to really work on becoming a leader or anything like that, I can certainly try to help you guys out with that. That is especially what I'm here for. But yeah, it was great talking with you, Stephen. I had a great time. Should invite me over again. I'll love it.
Awesome. I will do that. Hey, I'm out of the office, I think, until they said April 13th or April 14th. So I've got a few weeks to kill. So we may circle back around if nobody else is interested.
All right. Sounds good, Stephen.
All right. Thank you very much and have a good rest of your day, man.
Yep. See ya.
Bye.